Hi, everyone. I'm really glad you're back because today you are looking at Rodney and he's going to share his NDE or near-death experience. And he was dead for a half an hour. Happy and glad you're here, Rodney. Thank you for sharing your story. You're going to help a lot of people.
You're welcome. So I'll get right to it. I was working as a longshoreman up near Seattle, Washington. We were working on a barge that was being loaded with some 50-ton steel pilings that I was responsible on the shore side to load up to the crane and then help guide as they were swung around to be lowered onto the barge. Unfortunately for that day, we were down a couple bodies. So I was called up to come onto the stack. So I jumped up, ran over to the barge, got up on a steel ladder, climbed up onto the stack, lowered this piling down. And if anyone's been on the end of a table, I'm sure at Thanksgiving time or Christmas, and all of a sudden the table got jarred by a relative, you would have got pushed off. Well, that's what happened to me. The steel ladder and myself separated from the stack and then proceeded to go down to strike the steel floor of the barge. But at the when this initially happened, everything slowed down. The moment we separated, it was like I was trying to reach and grab the pilings in very slow motion, just everything. You're examining everything. And then started to proceed down. At the 45 mark, I was basically pop out of my body. So I did not experience my body colliding with the steel ladder as it struck the steel barge. I immediately went into what they would call the void. It felt like being inside a warm sleeping bag in total darkness, just consciousness. I didn't know if I was dead or anything else there. I was just there. And I don't know how long a time. And then, just like a lightning bolt, I had a tear in the night open up with the light, and I basically then went through. I then found myself on a gravel path in a tree grove, which again, no body I felt, but I was just pure consciousness moving out on this path. And I was led out to a mountain ledge overlooking a mountain meadow. It was earth-like, but not really earth. And there was 3 levels. The first level I saw was, I'll say, others, human forms, whatever else there. Some were, it was like a battle or fighting, but almost like I was led to the edge to see the precipice of what was going on. Then below me was a second level. And it was the most gorgeous rectangle golden, say, portal or door in a mountain, looking at the mountains in the background. It was an interesting sight there. And on the third level was, looked like a Greek Parthenon type building, jeweled with, again, gold, silver, just shining bright. Some people have called that the library knowledge, other terms for it that I know they're out there. And then I felt myself gliding down into the most greenest field that was adjacent to these areas. Some may have called it the Elysium Fields in the past, but again, I just laid down amongst the grass. And again, I can't tell you how long I was there, but I felt like I was being rejuvenated. The light there was like a liquid love, is the best way I can describe it. It had texture to it. It was like a 6-inch gelatin coating your entire body cocoon. And as I laid there, again, being recharged, you felt a oneness of everything. I was looking into the grass, looking into the microcellular level, seeing the cells operating in the grass. And just again, they're in peace. But again, this liquid love was like a recharging or raising of my vibration, could be from on this side, on the other side. And then as I noticed, again, time was not a factor here. I mean, I don't know how long I was there. It was just, it could have been 5 years. It could have been whatever. And then I saw a silver mist moving through the grass. And out of this silver mist was like 7 super bright, bluish white light beings. They were human form, but more spindly. And they approached me and surrounded me. I was like, I remember, I would say communication through talk, and through the mind speak, I would per se. They weren't physically speaking to me or talking to me. But again, do I remember what all our conversation? No. It's more of what I've experienced now, but is coming out relevant to what they showed me. But then I remember being placed into almost felt like a straw, but it was a rainbow vortex, just like you would see on the Marvel movies with Thor when they're going up and down with the rainbow vortex. I was being sent down, sort of what would be feet first, but again, I was conscious and looking at these beings at the same time, going down this tube. And as I'm doing this, I'm still seeing the tallest of the beings looking at me as I'm going down, going, no, no, no. Like I just left sheer bliss. It was, again, that love is like the love of a child times a million. Best way I can describe it to people. It is, when you care about you see about your family or friends when you're gone, you don't remember that. That love is so, again, it was amazing how it holds it. And as I go down into this body, all of a sudden, kept going down, 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 and all of a sudden, fused into my body. I mean, it was rough. It's not going through, and people say it's like you wake up from a dream. No, it's where you literally go from one dimension, fuse into this one here. And then I just remember seeing the bodies going like, he's alive, he's alive. They're like, oh my God, all these people around me as I slowly coming through. But as I was coming down the tube, I'll say real quick that even though it was consciousness, I saw like my right eye close up, and I felt the pain come in around me. I felt this incredible pain. I went from sheer bliss to pain, and then I come into the body, and then the weird thing is realizing I'm looking through one eye only at this time, as everyone's around me. Because again, I didn't realize that my right eye had been basically, the socket had been completely destroyed and broken. As I came to, they picked me up, and then threw me into a car. There was no ambulance, no 911 in this experience, unfortunately, because I don't know if they truly believe that I was dead. And as they're putting me into the car, I happened to look at my watch, which was on my left arm, and it was 1:35. And I had gotten on it was just coming off the stack onto the ladder. I looked at my watch and it was 1 o'clock. So I had been gone for over a half hour. And then they proceeded to take me to the hospital, and that's a whole nother story. So, from that experience, I called and talked to other friends who had worked with me that day, and they said they were absolutely, I was gone. I was dead. I wasn't breathing. I was no heart. I was gone. And they were just, they didn't know what to do. They had loaded my body onto a steel flat, and a large loader had come up to the barge, and they loaded my body on there, and then brought me into the office and laid me down. So, again, this whole time I was transported about 75 yards away. And, so again, it was just to them, they didn't know how to react. Then I was brought into the hospital. Unfortunately, they didn't bring me to the emergency room. I had to walk from the parking lot as blood is pouring out of my nose, out of my ear, out of my right eye socket can't see. I could just feel the blood crusting around my eye. And lo and behold, yes, I had 3/4 of my face was broken, was found out. I had, and they're all worried about my face and, possible brain bleed, which they did discover I had a brain bleed. So I was, after a few hours of scans, they had loaded me back up and then brought me to the main hospital in Harborview, but in Seattle, to deal with this trauma. And the doctors were always freaking out, like, why wasn't I taking so much pain meds? They were amazed that a person of my stature, of how much damage I had received, I was taking 1/3 the amount of the normal pain medication. And it's hard to describe to a doctor and to these people coming up to me saying, I'm still connected to that love that I had on the other side. That love still was penetrating through me, that I didn't feel the pain as I should have. I mean, it was extremely painful. Again, I try to describe to people, imagine every tooth in your mouth having the worst pain tooth, and imagine and have all of them going off at once. That's what it was like. But it was able to get through that pain, and through this, I've been led to many other adventures, many other rabbit holes since then. So again, I open myself up here for this interview, and if I can help someone else to show that we do not die, we are immortal beings, and if you truly find out what you are, wow, your whole world can be fully lifted up. So, any other things you got to me? So.
I appreciate you sharing your story, Rodney. And I want to ask you, because we're going to do a part 2 to ask you a lot more questions. And I know that was just a summary. I'm going to ask you more about what you saw and experience. And you said that we don't die. I'm going to ask you about that. And I'm going to ask you about 30 minutes dead. Normally people are brain dead at 4 minutes. We're going to ask about that, talk about that. So my question is, I'm going to explain how I help people, and I'd like to know how you help people. So I'm going to, ask you to share your email or anything like that. But I am a hypnotherapist because I had so much doom and gloom and fear, and I had to learn ways of overcoming that. Hypnotherapy was one, and nutrition tips I give too was a miracle. So my email is growthfactor.org@gmail.com. My website's coming soon. It's still being worked on, but you can click below the little arrow, and that's the description. I also do chapters. A lot of people don't know that. They'll make a comment saying, where's the main part? Just when Rodney was talking, look at the bottom or click it, you'll see his words pop up. And that's because I make chapters for you. So you can click right where you need to go. And then you can even share particular parts with friends who need to hear a certain part. So that's really helpful. But please put in the comments what you're thinking about Rodney's story. Share your experience. And if you had any wild stories like coincidences, near-death experience, or maybe you saw a soul or you saw a family member go back in a hospice or something, I'd love to hear from you. Again, growthfactor.org@gmail.com. How can people reach you, Rodney, and how do you help?
Sure. The rest way that people reach out to me is an email. I'll tell you, it's ROD, ROD, period, reader, RIEDER @yahoo.com. I also have posted this, on YouTube as well, and that goes by NDEsanctjuary.com @gmail.com. But yeah, that's just use the first one primarily. I'll reach out to there, and we can always talk. And I'm always here just to help people out.
Thank you. In part 2, I'll pop up, I'll do a share screen so we can see your YouTube site. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. So I guess I'll let you know is either look below for part 2, or if you look above, well, if you look below, you see a little lavender, or maybe it's lilac. That's the color I think you like, purple, in the purples, which I love.
Purple, yep.
So I think it's lavender. I'm not going to go with my colors, but look below. It says Growth Factor. That's the name of my show. Click on the circle. And then at the top, it says videos. You'll see all my videos. And it's interesting, especially look for my friend Gus. He's my biomechanic because I've been having back pain lately. He also had an issue with his eye socket. He was actually shot through the head by a thief who steals from supermarkets. And thank God he went into jail. But this man had killed 7 people. And so he also has surgery, and he's actually missing one eyeball. So that's interesting that you have something very similar in common with Gus, and also your very positive attitude after being in so much pain and having so many broken parts. But thank you, everyone. We're going to head to part 2. So hope you enjoyed part 1, and thank you, Rodney.
You're welcome.